is a step-by-step successful approach. It's very pragmatic. It's very simple and easy to follow. Be respectful, react to people the way you want to be reacted to, etc. So it's very basic, common sense stuff. But again, we forget about that when we're going through these power struggles that we're going through at work. That we think that we've just got to knock everybody else off the table to get to the top instead of working with others and taking all that collaborative information that we can get from other people to advance ourselves as well as advancing others. And so that's what I really like about this quick start thing is, man, you could really start working on improving relationships you have with other team members that you have, with your supervisor, figuring out where you land, because it's just as much about learning about yourself so you know how you can best fit in the organization and what areas you need to work on to improve yourself to be able to collaborate with other team members. So my name is EJ Shalvey. I'm currently working as a senior advisor for DNS Strategic Partners, LLC. I've been doing that for a little bit over 5 years. I retired. Before that, I retired as a general manager for a local wastewater district in the Northern California Bay Area. Was in that position for about 14 years. Prior to that, I grew up as a wastewater treatment plant operator, essentially out of high school. And so my background is all in wastewater treatment. Managed to go back to school, get an AA degree, get a bachelor's degree, got my master's in public administration, moved into a leadership role. Over the many years of going through the pathway to get to leadership, I go through a lot of seminars. I go and hear a lot of different people speaking at conferences, talking about leadership aspects. And one of the things that I don't think I've ever seen in any book I've ever read up until now are these quick start steps. Bob has laid out literally a recipe with easy, simple follow steps that you just have to kind of work your way through. And you don't, and it's not all at once, not one giant bite that you're taking at this apple. It's given in a very small incremental steps going through there. So, you could start at the very basic level and immediately you'll learn something that will help that you could use the very next day in helping your development and your growth. One thing I think comes out of starting now recipes is the training aspect, right? So a lot of times we will move a very highly technical person into a managerial position. And to me, without any training, that person is just sort of thrown out there to figure things out on their own. They'll watch different videos on how to be a manager. And I think Bob lays out some very interesting training methods to go in there and really allow people to figure out what it is you want to be trained on. And it's that skill set training that's identified in the book. And Bob brings that up a couple of times in there, figuring out what it is that you want to train that person on or that employee on. A lot of times employees will sit into trainings, they lose interest because it isn't something that they need to necessarily learn. So again, you're not really helping anybody by training someone on something that they don't necessarily need, isn't a skill set that they need to strengthen on. So that's one area that I think Bob really helps to identify in that skill set training, focusing on that. In this industry, training is highly regarded as something you have to do, but it's only as effective as what someone gets out of it. If you sit there and listen to somebody yak on about something that isn't interesting, you've wasted not only their time and energy, but your time and energy as well. So I think, so one of the other things, I'll touch this on this a little bit. I mentioned this earlier before about supervisors wanting to mentor or develop those below them. And it goes back to, supervisors being reluctant because it makes it seems to be a vulnerability that they may have by helping others grow into a position ultimately of replacing them. Coming up through the industry, I didn't have supervisors that would try to train me into becoming in their position because that was very threatening to them. And so that was never really something that that worked out very well in the organizations I worked in. So I think by looking at these starting now steps and understanding that, mentoring and training the staff below you, Bob has really helped the reader understand how it benefits the supervisor or the leader or the manager in that position of really benefiting them and allowing you to do more of that work, and in the role that you're supposed to have. And so I think because Bob breaks it down in a very simple, pragmatic way of doing that, it comes across as making a lot of sense and allowing those to really understand, yeah, that does make sense. Maybe I should try one or two of these steps.